have my morning routine and I get up early and my evening routine, but by noon, I'm exhausted from homeschooling.
Hi, I'm Rachel Denning from Instagram's World School Family and co-host of the Extraordinary Family Life podcast. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is taken from a live coaching session for my 28-day challenge for moms. And today we're talking about
Okay, this is a great question. And I actually remember feeling like that. I remember feeling so exhausted by homeschooling that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it anymore. So it's totally relatable. And one of the things, and I don't know the ages of your kids, so this is going, maybe you can type them in, but this is going to obviously be age dependent. I mean, if you're talking about like a 2-year-old, well, obviously it's going to be very mom intensive. But because of this feeling that I've had before, one of my goals as a homeschool mom was to, okay, 17, 13, 10. Great. This is actually perfect because at that age, they should be able to be self-sufficient in their learning. Now you might think, wow, that sounds crazy. But from experience, because I have a 10, 13, and 17-year-old and a 7, what other ages do you have? I don't know. I have a lot of ages. It's possible. So I started out with thinking, how can I do homeschooling without me being involved as much? That doesn't mean I'm not involved at all, because that's not necessarily possible. But how can I do it without me being involved as much? How can it be more self-sustaining? And this is applicable if you don't homeschool. This is still applicable to doing chores, doing their homework, all of the things you want them to do, but usually require your immediate direction for it to happen. And so I just started asking that question, which is the first step. Like, if you ever want to change anything in your life, you have to start asking different questions. And so that's where I start, is simply asking the question, how could I be less involved in this? Because, what I remember is being so exhausted because this person needs help with spelling, while this person needs help with math, and this one. And then so I'm like in 3 different places trying to help everybody. And that's very taxing and draining on your brain and your physiology. And so, yeah, it's no wonder you're exhausted, because after all of that, you're literally like burnt out, right? So I just started, and this obviously you're going to have to come up with the answer on your own. I can share resources I have, but I just started looking for ways that they could do the work themselves. For me, for my kids, that included like apps, maybe YouTube videos. It obviously also included a system for making sure they didn't like get on YouTube and get lost for hours, right? Self-paced video courses, anything that they could manage without me having to be right there over their shoulder. Now, for the initial setup, it might require that, right? Same with doing chores. When I initially teach them how to do chores, I'm going to have to be there. But the goal is I make the investment up front so that then they become autonomous and responsible. And then I'm just there to hold them accountable rather than being there to make sure it happens, if that makes sense. So you're the check-in piece rather than the sitting over your shoulder or like, helping you do it type thing. So that's one key piece, is like, how can I make this so that they can do it themselves? Now, for me, that meant switching curriculum, because, I had a curriculum that required me to read to them or different things like that. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me. I have to get a different curriculum. So it's about finding the resources that will work to help them be able to do the work on their own, which has great side benefits as well, because they also learn to be autonomous and self-directing, and they learn how to manage their own time, and they learn how to motivate themselves, right? Now, another piece of this too, which can seem counterintuitive, but I think it is very helpful, is, and I've talked a lot about this we have a whole like education coaching course, and I've talked a lot about it in there, and I also talk about it in my family charts and systems because I call it privilege-based accountability. And this applies with homeschooling too. It applies with doing chores, homework. And that's essentially that I've allowed my children to be in charge of their time. And what that means is I've made the expectations clear, whether I have a chart or we've sat down together or a combination of both. We've sat down and I've made a chart or written it out. So the expectations are clear. And if I say, if you want to do this thing, whatever the privilege is, maybe, and you decide what that is, listen to an audiobook or play with friends or play a video game or watch a movie. If you want to do this thing, here's how you earn that thing. So they know the expectation. But then what I do is, here's the expectations, and that includes, all their studies and their chores or whatever. But then that's it. I'm done. They decide when they do it. And the reason that works is because if they come to me and they say, well, because first of all the devices are locked. They can't access them without my passcode. They come to me and say, Mom, I want to listen to my audiobook on my phone. I say, have you done these things on your list? And if they say yes, I say, great, here you go. And if they say no, I say, okay, you can do it as soon as these things are done. But I don't have to sit there. I don't have to make sure they get it done. I don't have to worry about it because they don't get to do the things they want to do until they've done the things they need to do. And it's easy on me because I literally go about doing the things I want to do. I'm working, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning the house, like all the things I want to do. I'm doing that. And they're doing their thing. Me knowing that they'll get the things done they need to when they're motivated to get it done. Now, sometimes moms have a hard time with this because they're like, but they're not going to get it done and they're not going to. And you have to kind of let this play out because there will be a day or two when they don't do it or they miss the chore or whatever. That's okay because then natural consequences come into play. And then, this has happened multiple times where it's movie night now and they want to watch a movie for movie night. And I say, oh, but you didn't do your studies. And so guess what they do during movie night? They do their studies. And I don't care. That's fine with me. That's the freedom of homeschooling for one thing, or same with the chores, right? If they want to do their chores at nighttime or do their homeschooling at nighttime, I'm fine with that. Now, the other reason the system works though, is because they don't have access to just whatever. It's not like they can get on and just watch TV or play video games or get on the computer. Like we call them these head gates. There's these head gates that are directing their attention. So they're coloring, they're painting, they're drawing, they're playing outside, they're playing with their dog. Like they're doing all these activities that I am totally fine with them doing. But if they want the certain privileges, they have to fulfill the expectations.